Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Catherine, and some of you have asked me to make a video today about some of the changes that have just been made on KDP's dashboard. And this is actually really interesting news. So what KDP have done is they have added a section when you upload your book that asks about AI generated content. And as you guys know, this is very, very close to my heart because I am using AI to generate or assist me with an awful lot of content in books. And personally, I am a huge AI evangelist. What I see happening with AI is that it is giving access to so many people to so many skills. I'm seeing people who are disabled, who are being able to use ChatGPT to help them write books, to focus. It's especially helpful to people with ADHD, with autism, with literacy issues, with dyslexia. It has been a godsend to be able to use things like ChatGPT. And for people like me that can't draw, I love Midjourney because Midjourney lets me put out all the ideas that are in my head. It is an absolutely amazing tool. So I think it's actually really cool that Amazon are acknowledging that many of us are using AI and are interested in that and looking into what we're doing with it. So let's take a look at what the changes are. So on the content page of the KDP upload form, you will see this new box that says AI generated content, and it says Amazon is collecting information about the use of AI tools in creating content. And then it asks you, did you use AI tools in creating the texts, the images, or the translations in your book? So if you used AI tools for one of those things, you just say yes. And what they want to know about is AI generated content. So it says here, we define AI generated content as text, images, or translations created by an AI-based tool. So it says, then you agree to adhere to our KDP content guidelines as part of the terms and conditions of your participation. Great, okay, so let's take a look at the KDP content guidelines. So basically right here, all it's asking you to do is declare whether you used AI generated text, images, or translations. So here in the content guidelines, it says, we require you to inform us of AI generated content when you publish a new book or make edits to and republish an existing book through KDP. So this is important. A lot of people have been asking, should I go back and edit my old books to state that I've been using AI content with them? No, this says you don't have to do that. It's when you publish a new book or republish an existing book. It also says you are not required to disclose AI-assisted content. They just want to hear about AI-generated. And then it gives you definitions for those. So it says, we define AI-generated content as text, images, or translations created by an AI-based tool. If you use an AI-based tool to create the actual content, it's considered AI-generated, even if you applied substantial edits afterwards. So basically, if you're using Midjourney to create images, or if you're using ChatGPT to create text, your work is AI-generated even if you edit it. It then defines AI-assisted as using tools. Well, it's basically things like using Grammarly, using tools that will edit, refine, error check, or improve your content. Then that is considered AI-assisted. And you don't need to inform them about that. They don't care about that. And then it says you are responsible for verifying that all AI-generated and or AI-assisted content adheres to all content guidelines. For example, to confirm an AI-based tool did not create content based on copyrighted works. You're also required to review and edit any AI tool outputs. So this, to me, is good news. Amazon are collecting information, they are data gathering, they want to know about us, their publishers, and to find out what we are doing, what tools we are using, how we are creating our books, because they want to serve us. They want to serve us, they want to serve the public, they want to serve their customers. And if AI books are selling well, they want to know that. They want to know how we're doing it. One thing that is really important to know here is that Amazon is primarily a tech company. Amazon is in competition with big, they're not just about books. Amazon have Prime Video, which is one of the biggest streaming services that is around. I think it rivals Netflix. I haven't looked at the stats on that, but it is up there against Netflix. And what do we know about Netflix? That Netflix are using a ton of AI and they are moving further and further in that direction. Netflix recently had an advert hiring an AI expert that they were paying up to $900,000 a year. These big companies know where the market is heading, and AI is a huge part of that. Amazon themselves, if we look at Amazon Web Services, they actually have all of these products that are their own AI products. They have Amazon Polly. People are making audiobooks using Amazon Polly, which is a text-to-speech service. They have tools for training machine learning. They have tools for extracting text. They have a ton of their own AI services that they're working on. They have Amazon Lex, which is conversational AI. So they have all these tools themselves that are AI tools, and they are developing those. They are in competition with all the other big boys like Google. Google have just added AI generation to their docs, to Google Docs. You can now just generate content in Google Docs. So I feel like the people who are saying, haha, Amazon are going to ban AI now, I don't think that's what's happening here. And I would be very surprised. I mean, I'm not Amazon, I'm not in their brain, but I don't see why they would do that, because we're moving forward. Everyone is moving forward with AI. Canva have added AI. Google have added AI. All of the big platforms are adding in generative AI. So this is very much the direction that the tech industry is going in. And if I was really thinking about this, personally, if I was an Amazon executive, I would be wanting to know this information, because I would be wondering what tools and services that are AI-based that I could actually offer content creators like you guys and like me. I would be looking at what tools you guys need, because I look at Amazon's cover creator, for example, and I'm really sorry if you're watching Amazon, but I do think your cover creator is a little dated. It uses stock images, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but it uses stock images, and it's not a brilliant tool. It does the job, but if you added AI into that, you would probably get some better cover images that are more tailored to your book, more specific to your audience. And I think it would be a really good addition to that. So if I had to ask myself, why are Amazon gathering this data? I actually think they are looking at how they can serve us, their publishers, better. And I do see people asking in our groups, they've said, well, is this a trap? Are they asking us this information so that they can then ban us when we say we use AI? And I really don't quite understand where this concern is coming from, because Amazon wouldn't do that. They're not really out to trap us or trick us. If they didn't want AI content on their system, they would just flat out say, no AI, please do not upload any books anymore that involve AI. They can do that. Why would they lead us down this rabbit hole and tease us and say, ha ha ha, disclose all your secrets to us so we can ban you? They're not going to do that. There's no need for them to do that. If they don't want AI, they would have just said that. This is expressly saying it is okay to use AI content as long as A, you disclose it, and B, you abide by all their other content policies, which I think are very common sense. And I think what I see is some wishful thinking from authors and writers and artists. And I understand that people in those industries are feeling threatened by AI. And to some extent, we all are. If you are creating content, if you're a marketer, if you're a programmer, if you are in any white-collar business, AI is a little bit scary because it is making your skills, it is giving other people access to quickly level up, to start catching up to where you're at, which I understand is a little bit scary. It's a little bit scary for all of us. But Amazon aren't looking at it that way. Amazon are looking at this from a business perspective, and they're saying what is making money. And to all extents and purposes, we're we have the same goals. We are aligned with Amazon. We want to make money from our books. We don't want to make crappy books that make no money. Amazon want to make money from our books. So if you're creating AI books that are getting great reviews, that are getting sales, that are doing well, why would Amazon want to ban that? They're not literary critics. Amazon allows people to make sweary coloring books, to make Yeti porn, to make journals, to make notebooks. They have not banned any of those things. Amazon are not literary critics. They are just in the business of what sells. And they have a very, very smart algorithm. Amazon's algorithm works entirely on pushing stuff that sells up to the top, pushing stuff that doesn't sell down. So it drops off the search results, so you won't see that. So Amazon want you to create work that sells, which we want you to do as well. Now, the one thing that I would say is that there is some political pressure. I do think that writers and artists have a very strong voice at the moment, as we're seeing from the actors' strike, for example. They do have a big voice. They are saying we don't like AI because it's threatening our business. But I don't think that is enough to stop Amazon from progressing down this path. And looking at the interests of my community and the people that I work with, I sincerely hope that that political pressure is not enough to change that. And that's going to be a matter of opinion. Everyone is protecting their interests here. If you're a writer, then obviously you're going to be wanting to say, oh, no, I spent many years learning to write and to do what I do, so I would prefer that other people can't compete with me. And I understand that stance, but I also think that there is absolute abundance here, because it's not like me creating a coloring book with AI really takes away from anyone else. If you've hand-drawn your coloring book, then you're going to have a very different style. You can brag about that. You can talk about your life as an artist. You still have that competitive advantage. And I don't think that me creating my coloring books takes away from you in any way whatsoever. And especially what I look at is niches. And what I see is an absolute abundance of niches. When I think about coloring books, I don't really think of coloring books as a niche. I don't look at coloring books, I mean, maybe the sort of Joanna Basford ones that are just pretty pictures, that's kind of a niche. That's a niche coloring book. But when I look at coloring books, I'm thinking more in terms of what is the coloring book about? What is the niche of the coloring book? Because a coloring book is really a gift about a thing or a treat about a thing. It can be about a city. You could have a San Diego coloring book. You could have a book about a hobby. You could have a pickleball coloring book. You could have a book about, I don't know, a particular type of flower or a particular type of special interest, like a movie genre. You could have any of those things. And those would be the niche. The coloring book isn't the niche. The coloring book's just the vehicle, just the product. Like it could be a tote bag. It could be a teddy bear. Like no one says, oh, plushie toys, saturated. There's no point in making plushie toys anymore because you can always come up with new plushie toys. Like when COVID happened, people were making plushie toys that looked like disease molecules or looked like drug molecules, and people make plushie toys for different events and different seasons and different styles. They make ugly ones or cute ones. There's all kinds of plushie toys. And the same is kind of true for books. Like you can keep making books for niches. So I think there is an absolute abundance out there. You can keep creating books forever. So I think no matter how you are creating your books, you're really not taking away from anyone else. I don't really see it as a competition like that. So what do Amazon really want? And over the years, I've noticed 3 key policies that KDP do not mess around with. And the 3 key policies that I see are: number 1, quality. They want to see high quality products on their platform. Number 2, legal issues. They don't want anything that could get them sued. So they don't want you to infringe on someone's copyright or trademark. They don't want to see you giving legal advice or medical advice that could mess someone up. They want you to abide by the law and not get them into any legal trouble. The 3rd policy issue that I see that Amazon take very, very seriously is their algorithm. Anything that messes with their algorithm is a huge problem. And this, I think, is why they have become so strict on things like keyword stuffing. I've known a couple of people have had books removed and even lost their accounts over keyword stuffing, which is repeating words in the title and subtitle of their book. And the reason this is taken so seriously at Amazon is because it messes with the algorithm. And the algorithm is really the thing that keeps the Amazon platform clean. It keeps those crappy books down at the bottom, and it makes sure customers are seeing books that they're likely to buy and they're likely to enjoy and review well. And that is really Amazon's bread and butter. So the three things I think you shouldn't mess with at Amazon are quality, things like copyright and trademark, legal issues, and algorithm. So those are the three key things I think are super important with Amazon. So that raises some interesting questions, and let's take a look at these. So let's look at quality, because I think quality is key with Amazon. They do not want you providing what they call a disappointing customer experience. They don't want to lose customers. They value their customers very, very highly. So what is a disappointing customer experience? Well, it's something that is inaccurate or wrong. So I think when they say here that you need to check, review, and edit your content from ChatGPT, they do not want people putting out books like, oh, go to ChatGPT and say, describe a cure for cancer, and then publish that. That is going to get you in trouble with Amazon, obviously. They do not like people touting fake cures for cancer. I heard in our group that apparently there was an issue with mushroom people, that someone had created a book about spotting mushrooms and which mushrooms are good, and it had some life-threatening bad information in there about which mushrooms you could eat. Obviously, Amazon are not going to want that on their platform. So if you're creating content with AI, you do need to make sure it's accurate, that it doesn't sound like it's written by a robot, because that's going to get you bad reviews, and that it's high quality information, that it's actually useful and does what you say it's going to do in the blurb. So from a text perspective, that is what I would consider high quality. Now, as far as images are concerned, I think you should absolutely be making the best quality images with AI that you possibly can. So I know there are a lot of options right now for creating AI content. I have compared them all, and at the moment, Midjourney is by far and away the strongest. Leonardo is all right. Leonardo is doing okay, and I know quite a few of you are using it. I know this is kind of to my own detriment to be saying use Midjourney, because a lot of people are like, but Catherine, it's a paid service. It is a paid service, but it is worth it. It creates the best quality images. And I have no allegiance with Midjourney. I am not an affiliate for them or anything like that. I just strongly believe they make the best images. They have the highest resolution of the generative tools, as far as I'm aware. And they have the most consistency, that you can create images in different styles that look pretty awesome, and they don't look like standard AI generated art. So that is why I feel very strongly about Midjourney, because I think it produces very high quality images to start with. However, that is not enough. If you are publishing images from Midjourney, you should definitely upscale them further. And I recommend Topaz for color images. So for example, like this cover on my book, I upscaled that using Topaz. And the tool I use is Topaz Gigapixel, which is a little pricey. It's about, I think it's $90 to $100 now. There are free alternatives. There's one called Upscale, UPSCAYL. There's another one called Big JPEG, and there's several others. So I do recommend that you upscale your images for the best quality. And Topaz is the best because it actually uses AI to fill in details. So you end up with very detailed, beautiful pictures. But if you can't afford it yet, that's okay. Use Upscale or similar. But do please upscale your images. And if you are creating coloring books, we have a tool for that. We have Crystal, which allows you to create these very black and white images. It will convert your coloring book images to black and white vectors that are very crisp and very clean and have no need for upscaling, and they will look good at any size. So if you're making coloring book pages, I personally recommend Tangent Crystal. It's the only tool of its kind. You don't have to use Tangent Crystal. I know it's not a cheap product. It's bundled with my Big Imagine course at the moment. But if you don't want to use that, then I would at least recommend that you adjust the contrast on your coloring book images to get them as crisp and clean as you can, and also upscale them for your books. But if you use Tangent Crystal, it will do all of that for you. So my personal recommendation, use Tangent Crystal. If not, upscale them and do some editing on them, either in Canva or Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever you want to use, to at least adjust those images and make sure they are as clean as they possibly can be. So what I'm saying here is make high quality books. Make books that look good, make books that your customers are going to want, that they're going to leave good reviews on, and that give your customers a happy, positive experience. That's what Amazon wants, that's what you want, and that's what we want. So quality is absolute key here. You know, I used to have a saying when I made my bundle class. I used to say, don't make stupid bundles, because an issue we ran into all the time was that people were getting into trouble with their bundles. And they weren't getting into trouble with their smart bundles. They were getting into trouble with bundles that tried to get past Amazon's rules. And things they were doing, putting in things like fridge magnets or stickers or things that didn't make sense in a bundle, just so they could hog the listing and make it theirs. Amazon don't like game playing like that. They want you to be upfront. They want you to do a good job. They want you to serve them and to serve their customers. So when I used to say don't make stupid bundles, now I say don't make stupid AI. Use the best tools you can and upscale your images and make sure they look great. Don't be making like crappy, blurry pictures on free AI tools that look really shaky and then upload those. Please keep the quality high. So now let's look at the second issue that I see all the time with Amazon, which is issues around copyright and trademarks. So AI is really interesting because at the present time, you can't own the copyright on raw AI images, which generally isn't a problem. If you're making a coloring book or you're using images as illustrations in your book, it's probably not going to be a big deal that people are going to try and steal them. It's not worth a content thief's time to do that. They're going to go for easy options like t-shirt designs. And now with the availability of things like Midjourney, I think content theft like that is just going to go right down because they can just create their own images. So I think what we're seeing happening is that curation is becoming much more important. So just as people have curated public domain content for Amazon and sold it successfully, I think curation is really what's important here with AI as well. From Amazon's perspective, what they want to know is that you own the publishing rights to your work. Now, there are a lot of examples of work on Amazon where you don't own the copyright, but you do have the publishing rights. So, for example, Amazon allow you to publish public domain content. They do have some restrictions on that. In fact, it's right here in the content guidelines. Public domain content. We allow content that is in the public domain and no longer under copyright. And then they explain how you need to differentiate that to publish it, which is great. So Amazon let you publish public domain content. You don't own the copyright on that. Even if you change it up, you don't own the copyright on the original public domain content. You can own the copyright on anything that you add to it. This is the same with AI. You don't own the copyright on the AI, but anything you add to it, you do retain copyright. But the good news is, you have the publishing rights to AI. No one can come to you and say, you're not allowed to publish that. It's copyright free. You can publish it. You can put it out there. You can use it exactly how you want, which is amazing. That's a really exciting thing about AI. Similarly, if you use stock images from Canva or Creative Fabrica or similar, you don't own the copyright on those. Those are licensed to you. But if Amazon do a review on your account, they will want to see two things. First of all, they want to see receipts. So if you're using licensed content, they will want to see a receipt for that. Second, if you're creating the content yourself, they will want to see evidence of that. So they'll probably want to see screenshots. So the great news is with Midjourney, you actually have both of those things. You have the receipt for what you've paid to Midjourney. You can also go across to the Midjourney gallery, find your image, and you can see here that it's actually time-stamped and says exactly when you generated that image. So you can take screenshots and show those to Amazon as well. So Midjourney actually gives you all the proof you need. if Amazon does review your account. So this is really, really good to know. Basically, what I'm saying here is that Amazon does not require you to own the copyright on everything in your book. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to use stock photography, you wouldn't be able to use things like lined paper or sheet music that are uncopyrightable, and you wouldn't be able to use public domain content. You even wouldn't be able to use the stock images in their own cover creator, as you couldn't own the copyright on those. So all of those are things that you can use because you have the publishing rights to them, which is what Amazon wants. So then the third thing I talked about was the algorithm. And I think as long as you're not doing anything to mess with Amazon's algorithm, you should be fine. So that's things that really have no bearing on AI, things like keywords, things like keyword stuffing in the title, in trademark keywords, anything like that. They just don't want you to mess with the algorithm. And I don't think AI really affects. Now, I think that AI images offer some huge advantages over the alternatives. If we look at stock images, for example, I think there are some big problems with stock images. I noticed one really interesting conversation in a group for authors today. And someone said there was an African author who'd published a book, and they were a very small author. They'd published this book, was very excited about it, and they got a bad review because their cover was somehow flagged as AI. Now, that's a whole other conversation because there is not any accurate way of determining if an image is AI generated. And we can talk about that in a moment. But their cover got flagged as AI, and someone used that, their system of detecting it, to write a bad review and to say, I don't like this book because it used an AI cover. And it turned into a really interesting conversation because there were a lot of people of color in that conversation who said, well, I've looked at stock images, and the stock images for people of color are very, very limited. So you find the same images over and over again. They're not particularly accurate to what people want to show is happening in the book. And I think this is a problem with stock images in general. Like, you'd start using the same content as many other people. Now, with Midjourney, you're generating a new image every single time. And something to say about Midjourney is that it is actually designed to avoid infringing on any copyright, which is really cool. Now, I've talked about whether AI steals content in previous videos, and the answer is no, it really doesn't. It is not collaging information from anywhere. It has just learnt a ton about imagery and knows about imagery on a very, very tiny level that it uses to create its own images. And you can get Midjourney to create things that might infringe on someone's IP. If you ask for Hello Kitty, you're going to get something that looks like Hello Kitty. If you ask for a Coke can or Mickey Mouse, you might get something that infringes on IP. But if you're just making general artwork, it is designed to avoid infringing on copyright. Similarly, ChatGPT does the same thing. If you say, give me the first chapter of Harry Potter, it will say, I'm not going to do that because that would be a copyright violation. So these tools are actually designed to avoid infringing on copyright unless you really try and hack at them to intentionally do so. Now, I have personally run into problems with both stock images and hiring artists, and I have hired a lot of designers using Upwork, using Fiverr, using similar services. And several times I have caught them out because what I do is I use Google Lens to check the images they give me. And I have found that several artists have copied or traced or used parts of other people's clip art. And I'm so glad I found that because I would have used those images in my books. So for me, using AI actually feels safer than using outsourced designers or using stock images. And better than stock images, I feel that stock images don't necessarily fit your book or your audience or your unique vision. Whereas with a tool like Midjourney, you can create images that fit your vision, which makes for a better quality book, which means that people are going to buy more copies, which means that Amazon are going to be happy, you're going to be happy, and I'm going to be happy because you're not pissing off Amazon. Yay! So I think the big question that everyone is asking is, what is Amazon going to do with this information? And I think there's a whole spectrum of possibilities. I think think right now they are literally doing what they say. They are gathering data, they are gathering information. And the spectrum of what they could do with that information is pretty wide and pretty interesting. So we looked at all of these machine learning services that Amazon has, which is obviously quite a lot of them. They are obviously pretty invested in machine learning and AI, and they have been for quite a long time. Some of these services have been available for years. So they may be training their own models. They may be doing all kinds of things. They may be looking at what services they can offer to us as publishers. Great, that's awesome. Another possibility is that they want to put a note or a declaration on our books to say these are generated with AI. Now, I know some people are like, oh no, this is terrible, our customers will be scared. You know, guys, I have for the last year been creating a ton of content that involves AI in some way or another. And actually, I've been getting amazing reviews on it. All of the Tangent magazines that I've made this year, the images are all created with Midjourney. I've written most of the articles myself, but there is also a lot of AI suggestions in there and things I've curated from AI. And I've been very open about that. I have been very, very open and clear about that, and even labeled them and given the prompts for my content. In my Imagine group, I've kind of got a new format with posting in there. What I've been doing is when I have an idea or a thought, I will write down my thought and idea, and then I go to ChatGPT and ask it to give me more examples or more ideas. So my posts in the Imagine group have kind of been a 3-part thing, where I first of all say, okay, this is my idea, you could try this. Then I say, this is some suggestions from ChatGPT about how you could take this idea further and some more concrete examples of this idea. And then I give image prompts. So I find that actually using AI is making me put out much stronger content and much more helpful content. And I'm very open about that. I literally say, I asked ChatGPT about this, and here are the ideas from ChatGPT. And I have found that this has not harmed me in the slightest. The Tangent magazine is selling more each time I bring it out and getting better reviews each time I bring it out. And I am very open about how I'm creating everything that goes into that. So I don't think you have to be afraid. If Amazon do decide that they're going to put a note to say AI content was used in this book, I think that will be fine. And I think Kickstarter have gone that route, actually, that they have added declarations to AI content. Now, I do wonder in the long term whether that is going to be important, because I think what's happening is that AI is really growing quickly in acceptance. And bear in mind, these tools have only really been available publicly for a year, if that. So we're all still learning, we're all still figuring this out. And I think people are getting away from the, scary robots thing, more to like, okay, these technologies are here, they're in Google, they're in Canva, they're in all the major platforms. How do we work with them? How do we embrace them and use them? And I mean, no one's turning technology backwards. Like, we're not going to turn off Google. We're not going to turn off Wikipedia. And you don't see like mystery authors saying, well, I need to declare that I Googled how you poison someone or how you hide a body. Like, we don't care. When you hear a song on the radio, you don't care that it's auto-tuned. And almost every song on the radio, in fact, probably every song on the radio, uses auto-tune. We just don't notice it. We don't really care now. We don't really care if movies are using green screen or magazines are using Photoshop. Like, that is just how the technology has progressed. What people are looking at is the finished product. So I do think the public tolerance and acceptability of AI is going to change, is going to advance in the future. I think it's going to become more accepted that these are just tools that we're all using. And what really matters is the finished product, is the finished content. Is it good? Is it something that people want to read? Is it something that abides by the law and doesn't infringe on anyone's copyright? I think as long as it fulfills all of those things, you'll be happy, your customers will be happy, and Amazon will be happy. So that's a possibility that maybe Amazon will mark our books as AI generated. Fine. And one thing I've seen with Amazon is that they are willing to work with people that support their platform. Like low content books. I heard for years people were saying, oh, Amazon don't like low content books, they're going to crack down on them. They didn't. The only issue with low content books for Amazon was that people are making so many of them, they were using up the ISBN numbers. So Amazon found a solution to that. They said you don't need to use ISBN numbers on low content books. They acknowledged that low content books exist, and they found a solution for the only issue that they were causing. Similarly, public domain books, they found a solution for that. People want to publish public domain. Great. You just have to mark it as public domain and you have to differentiate it. So Amazon have found very sensible solutions. Now, I do think one possible issue that could happen with AI is that if people just started generating tons of random novels and just saying, like, completely automating the process. And I think Amazon are covering that by saying, review your content. Don't just publish stuff. Don't just churn stuff out that you haven't even looked at. You do need to review your content. So I'm actually glad that Amazon are holding content creators responsible for that, as they should. And the same deal if you were outsourcing from Fiverr or you were outsourcing from anywhere else, you still take responsibility for what you're publishing. So I think it's great that Amazon is still sticking with that. Now, the only issue I could see is that if people really are making huge amounts of content, that could put a toll on their servers. The only possibility I could see happening there is maybe they take an approach like with merch. Now, merch is Amazon's print-on-demand platform for t-shirts and hoodies and similar products. And they have a tier system. So basically, if you create products that are selling well, you can keep creating more products. So they basically reward you with more slots. They limit how much you can create, but as soon as you start creating things that sell well, they give you more slots. So, I mean, there is a possibility that Amazon might do that in future with KDP. I don't think so, because they haven't done that in the past. And I think they may have done that with low content books if they were going to go in that direction. But that's another possibility. But again, I don't think that's too big of a deal if that happened. Because again, why would you want to create lots of books that don't sell? It's in your interest to create books that sell. So really looking at this, I think Amazon are being very sensible. I think they are acknowledging that AI creators exist, that we are using these tools. I think they're very curious about what we're using, how we're using it. And I think potentially this could be very good news for us. Because now we know they're not banning AI content. They are saying it's fine to upload AI content as long as you abide by all their other content guidelines, which is what we've been saying all year. We've been saying, please abide by the content guidelines and make sure you have high quality books. So I think Amazon are taking a very sensible approach to this. And I'm very interested to see where the future goes with this. I'm interested to see what they do with this, whether they use this to improve the platform for publishers, for their customers, for everyone. I mean, we really do all have a mutual interest in selling books. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I don't think this is anything to really stress about or worry about. Amazon are not out to trick you. They're not out to trap you. I also think there is no shame around creating AI books. I mean, I think AI is giving a lot of people the power to express themselves, which I think is absolutely wonderful and very exciting. And I think as creators, we should encourage everyone to be able to communicate and express their ideas, their thoughts, their images, however they want to put those out there. And so I see a lot of really exciting things happening. I think the zeitgeist is very much moving with AI. I know there is fear around AI. I know it is affecting everyone. Whatever job, whatever business you are in, you are likely to be affected by AI. And that's going to be changing technology. It is always going to be a factor. This year has been a bigger change than ever before. But you can't really fight technology. The best thing you can do is learn as much as you can about it, learn how to use it, and see how it can benefit you and see how you can use it to make the world a better place. And I think that AI definitely has that potential. I think it's giving us access to a huge source of knowledge and skills that we didn't have before, which is going to benefit everyone. It's going to speed human knowledge, which is going to have incredible, powerful effects across the worlds of medical discovery, science, all kinds of things. So I'm very excited about AI. I think there's a world of opportunities there. I don't think this is something to be too worried about. Yeah, there's going to be changes, and we're always playing on Amazon's platform, but they have always been pretty consistent about what they want to see on their platform. High quality, solid books that don't cause them legal issues, and that make their customers happy. So I think as long as we keep doing that, we're going to be fine. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you're not worried. I hope you're looking forward to creating new books. Do come and check out our groups because we have been talking about this issue in depth. We have an AI Facebook group and we also have a KDP Facebook group, and there is a lot of conversation in both of those. So I would love to welcome you in those. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to click the like, click subscribe, and also ring the bell for notifications. That way you get notified if I make new videos, and we have a lot more coming. And I hope you have a wonderful day. All right, have a good one, guys. Bye.